And for this closing message, please receive Mr. Juan Manuel Valle Pereña, Executive Director of the Mexican Agency for International Development Cooperation.
Buenas tardes a todos.
Good
Gracias
evening to all
por
of
estar
you,
aquí
and thank you for being here,
sesión de clausura.
accompanying us in
Estimados
this
delegados,
official closing
representantes
ceremony.
de las organizaciones de la
Dear
sociedad civil,
delegations,
parlamentarios,
representatives of
gobiernos
civil
locales,
society,
sector
parliamentarians,
privado
local
y
governments,
fundaciones.
private sector and
Hemos
foundations.
llegado al final
We
de esta
have
primera
come to
reunión
the
de
end
alto
of
nivel
this
de la Alianza
first
Global
high-level
para la
meeting of the
cooperación
Global
eficaz
Partnership
para el
for
desarrollo.
Effective Development
Fueron 2
Cooperation.
días de intenso trabajo, a lo
We
largo de
had
los
2
cuales pudimos
intensive
escuchar
work days throughout
excelentes
which we may listen
presentaciones
to
y muy
excellent
valiosas discusiones
presentations and
que seguramente nos han puesto a
fabulous
todos
contributions
para pensar
that most
y
probably
reflexionar
have
sobre
made us
distintos
reflect
puntos de la agenda
upon
de desarrollo
different
eficaz.
items on the
Pudimos llegar a acuerdos que sin
Effective
duda
Development Cooperation
impulsarán la
agenda.
agenda de la
We
alianza
came to
y la
agreements that will
posicionarán como un
foster
instrumento muy
this
relevante en
partnership
el
and that will
acompañamiento de la
positioning
agenda de
it
desarrollo
into the
post-2015.
post-2015 Development Cooperation agenda. To the members of the Presidium, representing the Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations Organization, the co-chair ladies who guided us to this meeting, to the co-chair lady who is incorporating today to guide the works on the partnership forward,
A los representantes
to
del
the
secretariado
representatives
conjunto,
of
la
the
Organización para la
Joint
Cooperación,
Secretariat
y el
for the
Desarrollo
Organization
Económico
for
y el Programa de las
Cooperation and
Naciones
Economic
Unidas para el
Development and the
Desarrollo.
United
Y
Nations
finalmente,
Program
al
for
canciller
Development.
de
And
México,
finally,
el doctor José
to
Antonio
Mr. José Antonio Mid
les
Curibreña,
agradeceremos sus
we
palabras
want
en
to
esta
thank
ceremonia de
you for
clausura.
your
Muchas
closing
gracias.
remarks in this closing ceremony. Thank you so much.
Now the word is for Mr. Hongbu.
Y ahora damos la palabra al señor Hongmen Wu.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and a privilege to address the closing of the first high-level meeting of the Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the United Nations and the Secretary General himself to thank again the government of Mexico for their great hospitality. The dialogues over the past 2 days have provided rich food for thought for orienting future development cooperation. As Secretary General Mr. Ban Ki-moon himself said yesterday, the meeting's outcome will surely contribute to the ongoing discussions of the post-2015 Global Development Agenda. The post-2015 Development Agenda will have a much broader focus than the MDGs. It will have to reflect a greatly changed landscape of international development cooperation, which is reflected with the multi-stakeholders, multi-orientations, and multi-approaches. Most importantly, we must aim to finish the job started with the Goal 8 of MDGs. All partners should deliver on existing commitments, particularly those on ODA, climate finance, and domestic resource mobilization. Yet, development cooperation today is about more than governments, North-South and South-South, and about much more than aid. It is about enabling and supporting rather than driving. It is about engaging the breadth of development actors in a range of partnerships. We need a new narrative of development cooperation, a narrative that fits the transformation the post-2015 development agenda aims to achieve. The type or form of development cooperation should follow its evolving functions. It should be guided by the principles of national leadership and ownership. It should be flexible. It should take into consideration country needs and priorities. Above all, development cooperation should benefit all stakeholders, especially the poor and the most vulnerable within and among countries. This is about solidarity and shared responsibility. Essentially, global changes must be managed in a way that distributes the costs and the burdens fairly, and that ensures attention to the poorest and the most vulnerable among us. Governments alone cannot deliver the needed transformation. Governments will need to lead and actively engage the diverse range of partners in development cooperation. All actors will need to take an integrated approach to sustainable development. All will have to demonstrate ability to deliver lasting development results. Greater coherence and coordination should drive their actions. Transparency and effective accountability measures will be needed at all levels, driven by good governance and a vibrant civil society. A shared but differentiated global framework will be needed to hold all actors accountable. Such a framework should put greater focus on how to promote inclusive development and to ensure efficiency and effectiveness of development cooperation, while recognizing that no one-size-fits-all approach exists. The framework has to be anchored in a renewed global partnership for development, building on what has been agreed by all member states of the United Nations at the Millennium Summit, Monterey, and Johannesburg. Despite the diverse interests and the positions, we are seeing an increasing meeting of minds on what should be the designed characteristics, content, and the format of a renewed global partnership for development. Let me share a few key points. First, the renewed global partnership for development must be grounded in equality, solidarity, and basic rights. It should capture and will depend on a spirit of mutual respect and mutual benefit. Second, it should bring together the Monterey track on financing for development and the real track on financing for sustainable development and the means of implementation. Third, it should be equitable and inclusive, with a fair sharing of responsibilities and with a strong monitoring and accountability. It should engage all actors and enable and incentivize them to contribute, including through existing national and regional accountability mechanisms. Fourth, multi-stakeholders partnerships organized around specific sectors or issues are unlikely to replace the Intergovernmental Global Partnership for Development. They are likely to become an ever more important complement. Fifth, to deliver on these expectations, the renewed Global Partnership for Development must have the highest legitimacy and the most broad-based buy-in. The United Nations, as the most universal and representative body, will play a central role in this respect and to bring North and South together. The United Nations is advancing the debate on these issues in complementary ways, especially through the Open Working Group on Sustainable Development Goals, the Expert Committee on Sustainable Development Financing, and the Development Cooperation Forum of the ECOSOC, where a broad membership of the organization participated in building a consensus. The DCF is serving as a platform to shape the development cooperation aspects of a renewed global partnership for development for the post-2015 era. It engaged the full range of stakeholders, traditional donors, southern partners, and other non-state stakeholders in the candid global policy dialogue. The DCF also works to build synergies with other relevant initiatives, including the Busan Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation. Our shared objective is to ensure global architecture for development cooperation post-2015, an efficient and effective one. The July 2014 high-level meeting of the DCF in New York will provide a principal entry point for the GPEDC to bring its key messages from this high-level meeting to the United Nations. In addition to the role of ODA, a future narrative for development cooperation, including both North and South and North-North cooperation, will also feature in the July DCF. I'm confident that our collaborative efforts under the auspices of the United Nations will succeed in making development cooperation more effective in the delivery of sustainable development results in the post-2015 era. I look forward to seeing you all in DCF in New York in July. Thank you very much.
Now, we will listen to the message of Her Excellency Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala.
Well, thank you very much. This has been a most wonderful gathering for me, and I hope for all of us. Thanks to the great preparation of our gracious host, Mexico, represented here by Foreign Minister Meade. But it has also been a wonderful gathering because of all of you. I want to tell you that we felt your energy, your commitment, your enthusiasm, and your questioning of many of the themes that we have discussed here. And finally, your recommendations and your commitment to do more. That has made this gathering very exciting for me. Thank you. I reflect here on how the conversation has changed. In fact, a friend said to me as we were stepping up here to the podium that the conversation has really changed in the past decade. A decade ago, we were so focused on the issue of aid and ODA levels and commitments. Yes, today we still are focused on that. We still talk about the need for countries not to shirk their responsibilities but to meet their commitments. But the conversation has really shifted considerably from aid to development cooperation, partnership in development cooperation, from a fixation on ODA levels to a focus on domestic resource mobilization, and to the need for openness, transparency, accountability, and more self-reliance, to a focus on the role of the private sector, and to the force provided by civil society, making us remember that transparency and holding ourselves accountable for our actions is very important. I think in this conference we've accomplished much. We have agreed that the global partnership should be an instrument for accomplishing the post-2015 Millennium Development Goals. And we have heard a commitment by the Secretary General that it will be so. And I think we need to give a round of applause for this. We have recorded progress on Busan, Paris, Accra, and all the other commitments. On results focus, country ownership, on tying aid, we feel that we've made some movement on these issues. We are not there yet, and we still need to pull many partners in, but we agree we've made progress. We've also agreed that specific actions to facilitate domestic resource mobilization and to unleash more self-reliance by countries, including by my continent, Africa. The whole continent is focused on this issue, that these actions are important and that we should work hard to enact the specifics that have been discussed here. The specifics ranging from additional doubling or even tripling of the aid for taxation, capacity building, to strengthen tax administrations, to unleashing these tax inspectors without borders and linking them to local efforts and regional efforts to strengthen our capacity to generate more revenues, to acting on the issue of illicit financial flows and looking at all this in the context of innovative means for financing our development. Why look for additional aid when you can take hold of resources that are disappearing elsewhere in an illicit manner? Why not use them to finance development? We agreed on that. We've also agreed that the middle-income agenda on inequality and eradicating poverty is very important. We've agreed that gender equality and the role of empowerment of women and girls is crucial in this agenda. And we've said that knowledge sharing, South-South and triangular cooperation is crucial to our movement forward. And finally, we've had a wonderful session on business, listening to young entrepreneurs who are trying to create jobs themselves and to add value to their countries, to their families, and to their continents. And they've asked us, what can we do to assist with this partnership, with this movement which we have created? So all in all, when you look back and you think of what we've discussed here and what we've accomplished, it's been rich. And I hope that we'll be able to take these agreements, these accomplishments forward as we look at our communique, that we do not put this aside as yet another piece of paper, but we make a commitment to get the things that we've agreed on here done. I want to thank you all again for your participation, to thank my co-chairs for a wonderful time together, to thank the OECD DAC for their support, and to thank my fellow panelists for having contributed to making this a fantastic experience for us all. Thank you, and safe journey back to all of you.
Now, we would like to welcome Her Excellency Armida Alice Javana.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this high-level meeting of the Global Partnership. Many issues have been discussed in this 2 days meeting that I believe will equip and inspire us to work better to reach the Millennium Development Goals and lead us into the post-2015 development agenda. This first high-level meeting of the Global Partnership is of great significance. We have here results that will be outlined later on in a communique that sends messages to the world on what we have achieved post-Busan and our commitment in accelerating the achievement of the Global Development Goals. We must each take the responsibility to internalize the principles set in the communique at country level and across the different regional and international development cooperation fora. By doing so, we will set the foundation in order for our vision towards inclusive and sustainable development results in the post-2015 framework to be realized. The principles set in the communique also guide us in working on concrete and tangible results. They strengthen our working arrangement and evolving role of the global partnership in meeting the dynamics of global development challenges. New partnership has been built and innovative approaches have been identified. It is now time for us to implement our action-oriented work plan that will produce concrete results. This is also, I believe, one of the value added of the global partnership. It is very important to maintain the momentum gain to move forward. It is important to link the partnership to the ongoing development cooperation process, such as through the UNDCF. Echoing what the UN Secretary General said yesterday during one of the meetings, who sees the partnership as an enabling forum to achieving the global development goals. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my time as a co-chair of the Global Partnership has come to an end. It is time for another country to contribute to the co-chairships. I congratulate Minister Meade of Mexico, Minister Polman from the Netherlands, and maybe later on also there will be Minister from Africa as the next co-chairs. We hope that under the co-chairships of the new chairs, the global partnership will be moved forward to the next level. These past 2 years, I've learned so much as we go through the process in setting the tone and agenda of the global partnership, and tremendous contributions have been provided. I deeply appreciate the collaboration and support given, especially by my fellow co-chairs, Minister Greening and Minister Okonjo-Iweala, their offices, the offices of the OECD UNDP Joint Support Team, steering committee members, and certainly big thanks and appreciation to Secretary General Angel Gurria of OECD, Helen Clark, UNDP Administrator, for their unwavering support throughout this endeavor. And last but not least, I wish the new co-chairs and the new steering committee members, as well as the members of the Global Partnership, all of you, very productive years ahead. Thank you very much.
Now we will listen to the message of Her Excellency Justine Greening.
Thank you. And good evening, everyone. We finally made it to the final plenary session, and I would just like to say a huge thank you to all of you who have been part of what I think has been an incredibly amazing meeting over the last 2 days. We've had 145 countries, governments, businesses, civil society organizations. It's really been a range of participants that I think makes the Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation a unique meeting for the future of development. And I think this meeting, as we've heard, has been a very important milestone on the road to 2015 and the next development framework. Firstly, because it's given us all a chance to reflect on the progress that we've made since Busan and to take stock also, though, of where we need to focus our efforts next. And secondly, because it's been about partnership. I remember an African proverb saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go further, go together. And the Global Partnership is about going further by going together. And it's about governments, civil society organizations, private sector, foundations coming together, sometimes working outside of our comfort zones, working with people we might never have worked with before, but cooperating to make sure that development leaves no one behind. And our partnership must make sure that every single penny spent on development has the greatest possible impact. And I think we should challenge ourselves to say that no stone should be left unturned on how we can cooperate to make better development outcomes. Thirdly, this meeting really does have the potential to become the global forum, where following on from the conclusion of the MDGs next year, we keep tracking and pushing the new framework and ensuring we never lose sight of the progress on the next 2015, post-2015 framework and where we need to go further and faster. I'd particularly like to take this opportunity to thank Minister Lilian Ploumen of the Netherlands for taking over from me as a co-chair. It's been a privilege to work with Lilian over the last 18 months, and I'm delighted to be handing over to someone who has a huge wealth of experience in development, both in the civil society organisation sector, but also now in government. I wish all the new co-chairs very well in their future endeavours, co-chairing the steering group and taking forward the Global Partnership Initiative. Thank you also so much to the Government of Mexico, Foreign Minister Meade and his team, and of course President Peña Nieto for opening the Global Partnership. I don't think we could have had a better venue. I don't think we could have had a better organised conference. So a huge thanks, and perhaps we can just give a special round of applause to Mexico. We've made great progress over the last 2 days, and we do have a set of actions here that everyone can help to deliver. But I think we all recognise we need to keep up this momentum that we now have. And finally, I know that many of you have got planes to catch, so I will close my remarks. I think perhaps most importantly, the spirit of this meeting really has been there, and it has been about cooperation. And I passionately believe that this meeting can be a model for development. You can't force people to cooperate. That's why it's so powerful. But you can show them how powerful cooperation can be and what it can achieve when we work together. You build momentum, and you can build on partnerships. And I believe that's the key to success. That's the big learning over the last 2 days. And I'd like to so much thank everyone here and today for being part of it, and just say it's been a privilege working with my fellow co-chairs. I will miss not seeing them quite so often, but I know the next lot will be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Now we will listen to the words of Her Excellency Lilian Pullman.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends, let me start by thanking the outgoing co-chairs, United Kingdom, Indonesia, and Nigeria, for their excellent work in the first 2 years of our global partnership. In many ways, they have paved the way for our global partnership to grow, to mature. Their work and the organizational talent of Mexico has resulted in a high-level meeting that is unprecedented in its broad participation. I am impressed with the high-level attendance and the commitment of colleague ministers and representatives from multinational, regional, and local organizations. And I'm equally delighted with the strong presence of civil society, the private sector, and foundations. I'm proud to see that this global partnership, our partnerships, brings us together. Our task is to improve the situation of the poor and the excluded, to get down to zero on poverty in 1 generation. That's what this partnership is about. And the bar has been set up high. The UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon made it perfectly clear in his opening address that he sees the global partnership playing a crucial role in the post-2015 process. He expects the global partnership to deliver, to inform the UN on ways to achieve concrete progress in combating poverty. The global partnership has all means at its disposal. We can draw on more than 140 countries, more than 50 organizations. We represent thousands of politicians, professionals, and committed members who can contribute to change. As a partnership, we will learn from the past years. We will analyze how we can even improve our performance and attain even more concrete and tangible results. In my view, the global partnership should be transparent to its members, have an open mind to new perspectives, new partners. I was nominated by the OECD, but I will be there for all of you. Together, we should aim to expand the global partnership by reaching out to the private sector, to all countries, to foundations, civil society, and other new partners. Activists, citizens, opinion leaders should feel invited to contribute to our global partnership. We need all perspectives to deliver on this ultimate goal, eradicating poverty by 2030. After these 2 wonderful days here in Mexico with you, we are ready for this challenge. Let's walk the extra mile together. Thank you.
Please welcome Mr. Eric Solheim in representation of the Secretary General of the OCDE.
Friends, let me be very honest to you. I came to this conference with some uncertainty. I was wondering, will this new global partnership, this child which is not really yet born, will it grow to an adult and will it be something important in the world? And you have given a resounding answer to that question. You have filled this Banamex Conference Center with an enormous energy. You have made this conference such a resounding success. Thank you to all of you, and in particular, thank you to Mexico. Then the challenges before us are enormous. We shall save the planet from environment degradation. We shall make peace in Syria and South Sudan and Central African Republic. And we shall bring every individual human being out of poverty. Challenges are enormous. Fortunately, the answer to all this is very simple. It's the most important raw material on the planet, and it's only 2 words. It's to mobilize political will. There is no whatsoever, no border to what we can achieve if we mobilize this political will. And that is what this global partnership should be about, to mobilize the political will and to learn from all the astonishing success stories of the world today. We should learn from Vietnam, who now has better results in school for their 15-year-olds than my nation, Norway. We should learn from Brazil, who has reduced the deforestation rate in the Amazon with 80%. Astonishing. We should learn from all those nations struggling to get out of poverty. We should learn from El Salvador, who had the closest fought election on this planet 1 month back. The result was 6,000 votes for the winning left versus the losing right. And after many years of civil war, the loser graciously accepted defeat. What a success for democracy. We should learn from Ethiopia, who has reduced the child mortality with 2/3 in 20 years. There are so many fantastic stories to learn from. Finally, we should learn from Latin America, who has brought tens of millions out of poverty by providing minimum wages and providing cash disbursement schemes for the poor. We should learn from Chile, from Brazil, from Ecuador, and yes, indeed, for sure, from Mexico in all this regard. So let us set up the global partnership as the forum for mobilizing this political will and to learn from all the success stories. Then, going on from here, we must change clothes. Let's throw away all the ties, all the suits, and put on the working clothes, because now time has come from action out there. Time has come to curb the illicit capital flows. Time has come to set up tax inspectors without borders so that developing nations can get their tax systems better. Time has come to reform the development finance system, so that we can provide better incentives for the private sector and so that we can provide the guarantees private sector need to make more and better private investment. And time has come for more and better development assistance, more and better aid. And also here there is a success story to tell. As you know, 2013 was the world record, the highest level ever for development assistance in the world, and there are some astonishing successes which need to be pointed out. United Kingdom, at a time of great austerity, being the first G20 nation to provide 0.7, the global accepted goal. Fantastic. United Arab Emirates, the biggest provider of development assistance in the world per capita at 1.25%. What a fantastic solidarity shown from Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And Turkey, I can't mention all the success stories, and Turkey, middle-income country, receiving 700,000 Syrian refugees, still having the biggest increase in development spending in Europe, being a middle-income country, but now well above the average of the rich nations in the world for development spending. If Turkey can do that, what is the excuse for the rest of us not to step up? Then finally, for sure this partnership is about political will, about taxes, about private sector, about civil society, but ultimately it's about humans, people. And the test of the partnership is very simple. Are we at the end of the day relevant for the women in the Central African Republic who has seen his property destroyed by violence, who have no education for their children, and where the health clinic was destroyed in the last eruption of violence? Are we relevant for her? Are we providing a better planet for her and for her children in the future? If at the end of the day we cannot answer this question with yes, it will take time, but we are on the right track. Unless we can say yes, we are failing. If we can say yes, we are successful. The challenge at the end of the day is big. It's about mobilizing the political will. We are the first generation in human history who has the ability to once and for all eradicate absolute poverty. The emperors and presidents of the past have no knowledge how to do it, nor did they have the resources. We are the first who can do it, and we can do it if we mobilize the political will, and let us make the best of all political slogans of our own. It's the Nike slogan, let's just do it. Thank you.
Now the word is for Mrs. Helen Clark.
Minister Mead, thank you, thank President Peña Nieto, thank you to all your officials and everyone who has helped make this a very, very memorable meeting for all of us. I want to just make 3 points about takeaways from the meeting for me. Firstly, inclusion works. There's been very broad participation. It's been an energized meeting. It's come at a critical time in the post-2015 conversation. Last year, there was very broad public engagement. I was always worried that without some significant injection of momentum, perhaps the voices of the public would fade away. Meetings like this, with such incredible inclusion, ensure that the voices of civil society, the wide range of stakeholders, continue to be heard. So the meeting's been successful for that. Secondly, it has been a platform for the announcement of practical initiatives which take development effectiveness forward. You have a whole annex to the communique setting those out, so I will not enumerate them. But I think the value of a meeting like this for making major announcements from across civil society, governments, foundations, think tanks is a very, very important role. And the third takeaway for me has been taking the debate forward on issues now at the centre of this broader concept of development cooperation and effectiveness, like strengthening domestic resource mobilisation, like the private sector partnerships, like the South-South cooperation, like the vital role of civil society and the think tanks, and cooperation with the middle-income countries. The debate is the richer for all these issues being touched on. In conclusion, and speaking on behalf of all our UN development system, we will take these messages in our capacities back through to the post-2015 process, and look forward to continuing to be part of the partnership, helping service the Secretariat, being on the steering committee, and making this partnership really work for a better world through more effective development cooperation. Muchas gracias.
And to conclude this spectacular journey, please welcome Dr. José Antonio Meade Curibreña.
Buenas tardes a todos.
Good evening to all of you. With this message, we shall conclude 2 days of very hard work. Mexico has advocated a lot on behalf of inclusion. President Peña Nieto said during his speech yesterday that what we aspire to reach with this work on creating development is that no one is left behind in terms of benefit. Helen Clark said, and she said very well, that inclusion has an additional dimension. For us to reach that objective, we require the decided participation of all of you present here. We also require the work of governments that were represented here, and we also require the work of leadership, talent of officials of the system of the United Nations. We also require the ministerial work, committed work of ministers that have guided us in this effort. We also require the work and commitment of multilateral organizations and regional entities. You were here with us, and your work is vital. The work of parliamentarians, entrepreneurs, leaders of organizations, leaders of civil society organizations who had very interesting presentations, 5 plenary sessions, 35 closed groups, in which we had about 300 panel members participating. Under the framework of these meetings, we carried out more than 350 bilateral meetings, each one moving their work forward in terms of this global partnership. From here, we celebrated more than 500 interviews with different communication media, emphasizing the importance of the work being carried out here. Here we talked about inclusive development, the role of international organizations, knowledge transfer, alliances with the private sector, the necessary cooperation on behalf of climate change, gender equalness and tourism. It was truly inspiring for all of us who participated here to make sure that the very complex items of the working agenda were debated with creativity and based on real situations. South-South cooperation, North-South cooperation, triangular cooperation, the role of middle-income countries and accountability as well as transparency. We reiterated the importance on increasing resources for development and the need to achieve a better distribution of all these resources. All of this work has been crystallized in a communique that we have drafted and built together in a transparent and inclusive process. Under this context, today in Mexico City, I have the honor of formally announce the formal adoption of the communique of the first high-level meeting of the Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation under a framework of full consensus. This communique includes 39 voluntary initiatives with specific actions on the agenda of effective development cooperation. And I finish my remarks and I officially declare this event closed with 3 acknowledgements. On behalf of Mexico, our President, our Mexican Agency on International Cooperation for Development, our acknowledge to the co-chairs of the Global Partnership and their teams for the great effort made for the successful organization of this event. Thank you so much, Armida, Alice Bayana, Angoncio Cono, and Justine Green. We wish you the best of luck, and the new co-chairs will count on all of our efforts. I want to thank Angel Gurria and the agencies that you represent for your support and for being here. And a third recognition, personal recognition, to Juan Manuel Valle and his working team in Mexid, all the volunteers that made this possible. I want to thank all the linkages, all the staff of the Foreign Affairs Ministry that worked so efficiently to achieve these results. The development is a result of hard work and the addition of several wills. This first high-level meeting of the Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation has allowed us to come closer to our shared objective, to materialize cooperation in a tangible well-being for societies. Thank you so much, and have a safe trip back home.
Thank you very much, and we remind you that all the buses to take you back to your hotels or the airport are ready and waiting for you. Thank you very much. We
would like to remind you that all the buses that will take you back to your hotels or will take you to the airport are outside waiting for you. Have a safe trip back home and see you soon.